Welcome to your Optimal Personal Economy podcast with Justin Bennett. Your personal economy is your ability to create, protect, preserve, and utilize your wealth, your financial world. Justin will share strategies and stories to help you optimize your personal economy. Now, on to the show with Justin Bennett and co-host Matt Halloran.
Hey everybody, Justin Bennett here. Thought I would talk about a topic that has been surfacing a fair amount over the last 6 months or so, spread over a number of clients, some of whom have experienced a liquidity event and some of whom have not yet, but may experience a liquidity event. So I'll probably here start off by just outlining the situation. So the situation would be the following. There is a closely held business. So it's a small, closely held business. And that business may be owned by one or more owners. And there's this idea that those owners would like to exit their business. And if those owners have owned the business for a long period of time and have been fairly successful in operating and running and growing their business most likely is going to have a large gain upon sale. So what I've learned, and it has become very clear to me, is that to the extent that successful people can mitigate or defer or soften the tax impact on their wealth, they would like to be able to do that. So we're not going to get into the nitty-gritty details here, but I think it's valuable for the listeners that this may pertain to, or who may know somebody that it may pertain to, that we've been having conversations where the business owner, whether it be one or two or more than two business owners, they sell their business, and with the sale of the business, there's a large gain, as previously mentioned, and with a large capital gain could come a fairly large tax bill. And so the Internal Revenue Service allows for planning to be done where the tax liability on the capital gain can be deferred over a period of time so that the sale proceeds can actually be retained and invested or saved, and resulting in the deferring of this capital gains tax. And so although it's ultimately going to be paid, it's just spread out over, in some cases, a fairly large period of time. And so it's a kind of a nice way where you can have, this big capital gain in the sale of your business, and then the tax liability on that spread out over a long period of time. But for some reasons, the conversations when businesses are sold are often, hey, I just sold my business. Now, how do I mitigate or soften the tax burden? So it becomes like a reactive conversation. And the way that we like to provide value is on a proactive basis, and therefore not be reactive. And so what we're talking about here, how we would be able to work with a client and their tax advisor, is to understand that there's a pending sale and the actual closing of the business has not yet been formally completed, but there's some steps that need to be taken between business owner or owners to a trust, and then the trust to the third party buyer. And so there's some planning that needs to take place and occur prior to the business just closing and then all this money being in your hand, and then you're like, oh, I got multiple millions of dollars, and now what can I do to soften the tax burden? So I think the idea here is to be proactive, know that there's planning strategies and opportunities in the marketplace that are allowed that permit you to defer a gain over a long period of time, retain the sale proceeds, maybe look to have them saved and or invested. And there's some technicalities to this transaction, but I think knowing that this is even possible would be helpful for many of our listeners, because most closely held business owners start a business with this idea that at some point in time, they're going to be able to sell their business, have a liquidity event, whether it be an internal sale to a key employee or an external sale to a third party. But the idea is they're going to be able to exit their business by way of a sale. The sale is going to be a liquidity event. The money's going to come in. The money's then going to be able to use to provide lifestyle to the business owner and their family for a long period of time. And then ultimately there's going to be money that's going to also refill that money that's spent, which could then be passed down to kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, and generations to come. So I just think this idea of knowing that there's planning techniques that are available that we've been talking to clients about, that we'll continue to talk to clients about, is something that many of our listeners should be aware of. So that's probably a good place for us to wrap up, leave our audience here today. Could get a lot more technical, but I think for the time being, just having some awareness around it might lead to the desire to want to learn more about it. And we're happy to have some conversations with those folks that may be familiar with us, may be familiar with clients that we serve. And so we look forward to providing that ongoing value to the marketplace.
Justin Bennett is a registered representative of Park Avenues Securities, LLC, or PAS. OSJ 1150 Raritan Road, Suite 201, Cranford, New Jersey, 07016. Phone number 908-709-0020. Securities products are offered through PAS, member of FINRA SIPC, financial representative of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America. New York, New York. PAS is an indirect wholly owned subsidiary of Guardian. Bennett Financial Group LLC is not an affiliate or a subsidiary of PAS or Guardian.